Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello, people, and welcome to Footy Judge Mo. How can one referee decision split the fan base on a manager? And how can one right back completely? That right back yesterday, Trent Alexander-Arnold, absolutely had one of the worst right back performances I've seen ever. And now 4 games for Chelsea completely changed the perception of one manager, Enzo Maresca, and just one tactical change from Pep Guardiola. Of course, changed Manchester City season. A lot of people are saying Man City are back in the race. Man City can actually go on a 20-game run, 15-game run.
Literally no one is saying that.
A lot of people are. Rivals are.
Name them.
I was asked this yesterday on this channel. Can Man City go on a 15 to 20 to 18 games run? Yesterday.
And who said yes?
The viewers.
Name them now.
We all said no. We all said no, to be honest. We all said no.
Anyway.
But listen, pick up everybody that is here. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And if you're watching this on the replay, hit that like button, people. The Rational League, one of your favorite shows, of course, on YouTube. And we all have to start with Tom Little.
Do we have to? Can we talk?
Trent did a great impression of Kyle Walker, to be fair.
Oh, fucking hell. Trent put in a performance that I think fucking Glenn Johnson would have been disgusted with yesterday. And Glenn Johnson was just a shit Kyle Walker. So what does that say? That was unbelievably fucking bad yesterday. Unbelievably bad. He is my vice captain. He's asking for Kevin De Bruyne, for Erling Haaland, for Mo Salah money. He's asking to be paid the very top dollar to stay at this football club. Do you want to know something? The man has 9 assists in his last 75 Premier League games. Kyle Walker has 8. Andy Robertson has 10. This is the man who wants Kevin De Bruyne money. And that, you know what? He's never worth that money anyway, but I could at least somewhat accept it if, look, the attacking wise, you're not really getting involved in the attacks in the same way. So it happens. Let's just do all this. But defensively, you're doing your job right. I went through it yesterday after the game, and I might have been a bit harsh, but if I go back through every single goal Liverpool have conceded and try and find the last one that wasn't down the right-hand side or didn't involve a Trent mistake in the build-up, have a guess which game I need to go back to.
Last season.
No, it's this season. It's this season.
Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest. Conor Bradley got cooked.
No. There was one after that. It wasn't much further after that. The last game where Trent Alexander-Arnold wasn't directly involved in a goal we conceded was Arsenal.
That was
2 whole months ago. Andy Robertson looks so unbelievably finished at this top level. So unbelievably finished. And yet teams still target our right-hand side. You have a left-back who looks like he can't handle fucking Ogbene from Ipswich. Anyone who's got a little bit of pace will do Robertson. And yet teams will still target Trent Alexander-Arnold. What does that say?
You've conceded 17 goals since that Arsenal game. There's no way all 17 link back to Trent.
He's not played every game. So I can't go on games where he's not played.
Okay.
So he didn't play against Southampton. He didn't play against... He played against Brighton. He didn't play against Southampton. There was another one that he didn't play in. Newcastle. There was 2 goals in Newcastle, which he went on the pitch for, so I can't hold him to account on them. Third one, he loses him out the back post, but we won't talk about that. So that's 2 whole months where he's been targeted, and Konate's bailed him out, and then Konate got injured, and then Gomez bailed him out, and then Gomez got injured, and then an unfit Konate bailed him out for 60 minutes yesterday. And then his legs went because they're going to when you haven't played for 6 weeks. I'd like my vice captain to act like a fucking vice captain, especially in the biggest game of the season for a Scouser. I haven't seen my vice captain do a post-match interview this season. I know it sounds stupid, but it's got kind of an obligation, isn't it? You know, your vice captain will, deal with the media. You know, they're a leader in the dressing room. They'll sort it out. And he's got a contract situation going on. He doesn't want him to play out in public. Van Dijk and Salah do interviews every other fucking week. And they're not sitting there going, oh, my contract. Oh, I can't handle questions about my contract. You are in this position because of your own fucking doing. And it was not acceptable because you're a knob for it. But it was fine. It was fine as long as the performances on the pitch didn't falter. But fuck me if they faltered. They have been massively inconsistent this past month. Fulham at home, shocking. Yesterday, shocking. But it's not like he's played exceptionally well in other games either. He scored against West Ham. He also, you'll never guess where their best chance of the game came from, down the right-hand side of the pitch. I'm honestly, he wasn't the only bad one yesterday, but with the amount of noise around him, with what he's asking for, with the state of his performance and the state of his efforts, especially for those 2 goals, he can get all the fucking heat and all the shit he needs. Robertson wasn't good, Jones wasn't good, Diaz wasn't good, but Trent Alexander-Arnold, vice captain, Scouser, should get exactly what this game means. Does that? If your head's in Madrid, fuck off already. I don't care. He played, I think it ended up being 88 minutes, 87, 88 minutes of the time yesterday. He won 0 out of 5 duels. Conor Bradley was on the pitch for 6 minutes and won 3. Trent Alexander-Arnold made Diogo Dalot look like Roberto fucking Carlos. Nico Williams, who was our former right back, locked Diogo Dalot up like you wouldn't believe. But our 350 grand a week right back, the one who thinks he's going to win a Ballon d'Or, by the way, couldn't even do that. I can't believe he lasted that long on the pitch.
I just want to say the worst moment for me was, I think it was in around the 80th minute, and he gives it away just following a throw in, I think. And then it's sort of, it's like the subtle little jog to get back, and then Van Dijk does brilliant to deal with it, and he just glares at him as if to say, like, get your head out your ass.
10 minutes before that, he'd had a proper go at him. That one, he was just looking at him like, I can't even be fucking hard. You don't deserve it, Beth.
It was like anger had turned to just sheer disappointment.
Vice captain, by the way. Vice captain.
He needs to learn from Darwin Núñez how to show a bit of fight.
Don't fucking Núñez. Oh my god. He's a fucking donkey in himself.
He's
But it's not
Oh,
only on Trent though. Arne Slot has to catch some heat. Managed the game wrong. Kept Trent because he was massaging his ego, because he was man management instead of game management yesterday.
The only thing I don't know is how fit Conor Bradley is. Because
He looked so fit. He looked
yeah,
fit.
but
He looked better than Trent, even if he wasn't fit.
he did. That wasn't hard, but he only played 7-8 minutes yesterday. I don't know if he could have done 45 minutes. I don't know.
There
the state
was
of that
another
hamstring.
solution. Just try to cover Trent. Try to do a tactical analysis, try tactical change to actually cover Trent at least.
Like what though?
I don't know. Have someone cover that right side like you always did.
But we did in Canate, which is why they didn't score.
No,
for the
like
first
one of the
50 odd
midfielders.
minutes.
One of the midfielders to lean on Trent's side.
But we did in Curtis Jones, except Curtis Jones was shit and went off the pitch.
Exactly. It's all
So
on the players then.
Yes, it is all shock. I think Arnie Slott's got a lot of credit in the bank this year. I will forgive him if you think he made a tactical error in that game. I thought that it was individual performances that fucked us over there, because we were still causing problems, but we weren't getting the ball into dangerous positions because my fucking right back couldn't pass the ball properly, and my centre mid
Salah didn't play well as well. Salah didn't play well.
Salah didn't get the ball.
Huh?
He got the ball. What? Salah didn't get the ball enough.
He probably should have had an assist, I think, Salah.
He played a brilliant ball from McAllister, which is seed. McAllister was one of the only good players yesterday, by the way. Brilliant from him. But he plays a good ball through for Onana. Puts another couple of good crosses in, but because we don't have a striker on the pitch, because we insisted on playing the Luis Diaz false nine against the back five, like that's ever going to fucking work, we have no box threat. So his crosses were going to no one because Diaz isn't near enough to chase the ball in. And then, he scores his penalty, but we just weren't giving him the ball in the positions enough. Because, do you want to know, there was one moment that really summed up Trent's game. It was, they have a corner whipped in. We head it away. Salah passes it on to Trent, and you've got Salah bombing forward, Gakpo bombing forward, Diaz bombing forward. Trent's got the ball. We've got a 3-on-1 effectively if Trent can just get through. If Trent just plays the pass, you've got Diaz, Gakpo, and Salah running against, I think it was Mazraoui. Might have been Dallo, but I think it was Mazraoui. 3v1. And you know what Trent does? Tries to nutmeg Martinez, loses the ball, and then fouls the lick. So we went from a 3-on-1 at 0-0 to go 1-0 up to really hurt United's momentum, to them having a free kick off their corner because my fucking right back didn't pass the ball, and that was just one of many. There are players who done poorly yesterday. I don't even think Alisson was necessarily great. I thought that he could have done better for that second goal potentially, but
does that leave the door open to Arsenal in the Premier League? Sam went on a rant yesterday and he said something about, oh my God, I've seen this coming and it's not good. It's not a good sign. Blah, blah. I think it's just blown out of proportion. I don't think it does.
I mean, Arsenal also dropped points on the weekend, so it's effectively a null thing. Is it? Is it? Well, I genuinely don't give a shit if they were robbed or not. But factually, it was a null weekend. No one went up or down. We all gained a point.
Bar City and Newcastle.
Hold on. To be fair, the weekend's not done yet. Not Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest played tonight. I'm worried. And the Wolves have something in it for me. I'm scared of Nuno and his boys. But it was a null weekend. No one's went up. No one's went down. It was just it's a game where you look at it and you go, fucking hell, that's a shit show. That one. That's a game you should be winning. That's a game you want to be winning against rivals. And
so no credit to Man United at all from anyone here.
No, Man United done well.
That was their best game under Amorim, I thought.
Yeah, 100%.
A lot of players turned up. A lot of players performed well. I thought Ugarte and Mainu done really well in the midfield together. I'm not giving praise to Dallo because fucking Trent could make anyone look good as a wing back.
Maguire was quality.
Maguire
Dallo was
really
good,
yeah.
bro.
Dallo was good.
Dallo was good.
De Ligt was not.
He benefited.
The best player on the pitch was Bruno Fernandes, without a shadow of a doubt.
Easy.
Yeah,
he was very
He
impressive.
was the
Bruno
best
was
player on
very
the
good.
pitch, without a shadow of a doubt.
You're not going to get praise from me for the man Trent
it-
Alexander-Arnold's marking them. Fucking useless donkey.
Bro. Look, listen. For you to actually drop points to Man United is something that I didn't see coming, but I knew that the game would be tough. Looking at Amarim's games against City, against Arsenal, he set up the game well. He has a plan always, and the adrenaline rush for the players. It looked like Man United played the game yesterday as a derby for them, while Liverpool played the game as they're playing any other team.
Be nice to actually.
Yeah,
Rory, go on.
I thought Liverpool arrogant going into it.
Thank you so much.
They went so far out of their way to make sure that game got played. In terms of putting pressure on the council to make sure the game got played. The complete opposite of what they did against the Everton game, where they went out of their way to make sure it got postponed. So I think they went into it incredibly confident, thinking this was the perfect time to play United. They'd had a good break. They were full strength. And they got humbled a little bit.
I think that Amorim also learned from the massive mistake he made against Newcastle, where he basically set the team up to fail by just having, Casemiro and Eriksen on their own to mark all three of Joelinton, Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali, which is obviously suicide. Against Liverpool, the 10s dropped and the wing backs dropped. So instead of it being a 5-2, it was a 5-4. So obviously in terms of numbers, you've got extra bodies there. So that just made it harder for Liverpool, and they could just rely more so on the counter, which probably plays into their strengths now. Like they're sort of in a phase now, United, where it's in their benefit to play like an underdog, and they sort of and they had to, and it worked. They arguably, certainly Maguire should have put the ball in the back of the net at the end. Whether it's offside is another matter, but there is a world where United actually win that game. Again, don't know if it was offside, but
it wasn't. It wasn't actually. Yeah, someone drew the line on Twitter. It wasn't.
Okay, yeah. So I think you got to credit Amorim for, as I say, learning from that mistake, being a little bit more conservative. Obviously, individuals performed well. So yeah, fair play United. But yeah, again, likewise, I think both things can be true. I thought Liverpool also were below the level that we've seen in the past few months or so. I think it's a little bit of both. To be honest with you, United made it harder for them. Liverpool didn't help themselves in terms of their individual performances. I felt like maybe they need another technician in that midfield for this game, with United packing the centre. Maybe like a Harvey Elliott, for example, starting. I don't know how legitimate that would be as an idea. And Tom said that Jones didn't have the best game. So yeah, fair play United. And I was surprised.
Can anyone think it's a turning point for United season, or we have seen this movie before?
No, we've seen it before. They've had the script already this season.
Yeah, they have
draw
to
Chelsea, beat City, draw of Liverpool. They've had some games like that this season.
Yeah, they have to back it up with consecutive 3-4 performances at a similar level. Proving that you can get up for a game like that is one thing. Proving that you can do the same thing away at, I don't know, Brighton, whatever, is another thing. So time will tell.
Yeah, it's one thing to go into a game knowing how it's fine to play like an underdog, play on the counter, etc. But you can't. It's very difficult, be a proper contender playing like that. So yeah, time will tell. Time will tell.
If Bruno turns up like that in every game, they have a chance. But for me, that's a 1 in 10 performance from Bruno Fernandes. I just haven't seen that enough.
United have had good results against even like Arsenal losing 2-0. They were in that game for part of it.
Yep.
This Amorim team, they do well against the bigger teams. It's when they go up against the Ipswiches of this world where they should lose, and that's what Amorim needs to get over. The Wolves of this world where they do lose, he needs to figure that side of it out because. But
the quality is there or it's not there. Okay, here's the thing.
It's not in attack. That's the problem. They're not. Yeah. The problem is the striker right now.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't. I didn't have much fear about Haaland.
Yeah.
No. But Arsenal, like a lot of teams, play without a striker and they can just find goals.
No, but Arsenal play with a guy who up front who can score goals. United play with a guy up front who doesn't score goals. So everything sort of gets funneled to. It's like if we play up front with Nunes, everything gets funneled to an area where they're just going to get wasted. United striker isn't clinical enough. He doesn't have the confidence in himself at the minute to score the goals regularly. Even yesterday, he got through 1-on-1 and put it directly at Alisson. A top striker puts it in one of the corners.
Or even that was a horrible attempt. Like even if you're not going to put it in either corner, at least put it along the ground or high so that it can either go through Alisson's arms.
He literally put it in Alisson's chest.
Mass. Yeah.
Like Alisson didn't have to move, and that's what we mean. Like going forward.
Why? Can I ask why didn't Jota start yesterday?
Okay,
why did he insist on having Diaz up top?
Diaz has been in good form.
Yeah, but not against the back three, as Tom said, Rory. Not against the back three. You'll need a poacher like Jota.
No,
in the back three.
Diaz worked against the Leverkusen back three, but that was a different type of back three to the one United done. And to be United's back three against in the past couple of games played a little bit closer to that Leverkusen one, where they were a little bit wider and a little bit more, open, trying to get on the ball as much, a bit more and be expansive with it. In this game, they were a lot more sort of structured, and I'm going to use the term limited isn't the right word, but limited in nature. So that's the kind of thing where you need a proper. I would have personally played Diaz and Jota as a two together up top.
Huh?
And had
Joey overrun in the midfield.
Looked quite good.
I would have had McAllister and Gravenberch in the midfield together. Salah off the right, Gakpo off the left. Diaz is like your false nine, and then Jota as your striker.
You'd be cooked. You would have been cooked.
Oh yeah, because we weren't cooked yesterday in a 4-3-3.
No, but you would have been cooked. The midfield would even be way more open.
But
Ugarte and Meno had a field. I saw Ugarte having more retention.
But when we say the midfield had a field day, out of Liverpool's best players, Liverpool had, I say, about 3 good starters yesterday, and 2 of them were midfielders in McAllister and Gravenberch. I thought both of them were quite good. The problem was Jones wasn't doing great.
They were good offensively. I can't say they were good. See, that is what you got. That is what you do. McAllister was good because he made a couple of runs and a couple of passes. But you cannot say that a midfielder was good when Man United midfield, who's normally a disjointed midfield, were passing the ball around, dribbling past the midfield. I can't. So maybe on only half of the job, which is going forward, passing the ball, dictating the game like McAllister and spraying the passes. But in terms of defenders, I saw Kobe Mano dribble past your midfielders and passing the ball with ease.
Kobe Mano dribbled past Curtis Jones, which is why I didn't want him to start. If you look at the midfield yesterday, McAllister was on the left-hand side. United created nothing down that side. United got barely anything down that side.
Yeah, that's by choice, though.
No, but when they did, they've got Amad Diallo down that side. Obviously, they want to try and get the ball down to Amad Diallo.
Clearly, they wanted to target Trent, bro. I saw Lisandro Martinez doing overlaps, bro.
I know
definitely
that.
They wanted.
I know that, but they didn't spend 90 minutes going exclusive down that side. They spent half the game going down that side, and then like 25% split the other way. When they tried to go down that side, McAllister had no problem dealing with them. Gravenberch, the problem with Gravenberch was he was just getting run ragged everywhere. He had to go here, there. It was like a clock midfield, which didn't work, which is what we've tried to move away from this year. So, my point is, if you play Gravenberch and McAllister in a pivot together, you'd get a decent level of success from it. Then you play Gakpo and Salah out wide to occupy the wing backs, and you play Diaz and Jota up front together. Diaz is your little false nine thing that you want, because when he drops in, he will bring a centre-back with him. If he brings that centre-back with him, you then have Jota as your number 9 going into the space to drag the other centre-backs away. Either he gets the ball and is in on goal, or it goes to the wingers who've made inside runs and now have space to operate in because the centre-backs aren't in the correct position, because you've actually caused problems by having 2 up front. One guy is not going to deal with 3 centre-backs. You need 2. And we went to a 2 up fronts. The problem was one of the 2 up front was Nunez, who was effectively another fucking defender for Man United. So it was poor Diogo Jota against 4. It was Jota against 4 in that second half. So I think he should have took the gamble and went for a front 4 yesterday and aimed to pin back United.
I didn't think from the beginning of the game he should have done that. Right, why would you take the gamble from the beginning of the game? You're the team on top. It's Man United.
Exactly, because we're the team on top and we're at home. So if you get it right and you pin them back and you get the momentum behind you, they'll go into a shell. United grew into that game in that first half because they were able to. because our press wasn't there, because our structure wasn't there, and they were able to just pass it round for the first 20 minutes and gain a bit of confidence in the game and go, fucking hell, we're all right here. They're not doing anything. If you got a front four and you're going bang, 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 bang with the pressing, and you've got a real structure there, and they start kicking it long, and they start trying to break the press by going wide and going long and this, that, and the other, all of a sudden that confidence that they gained from this nice little interplay through the lines and at the back goes, and they go, right, we just need to sustain, we need to hold this pressure, we need to hold this wall, stop the pressure, yada, yada, yada. We had that for 15 minutes yesterday where we had them on the back foot and we scored 2 goals there. You can clearly guess at them. We just never put ourselves in the position to do that. Apart from 15 minutes, I think a front four would have been the way to do that. A front four with Conor Bradley at right back.
Thank you, Stephen, for the super chat. Good luck to me today, not to Milan today in the Super Cup between Inter and Milan today. Thank you, Stephen, for the super chat. Appreciate you. Listen, I want to move on from Liverpool. And before I move on, I just want to ask one question. If the contract situation is not solved, does anybody think that will affect the Liverpool season with Salah and Van Dijk?
Salah and Van Dijk are fine. They're professionals. They're not dickheads. Trent Alexander-Arnold, it looks like he's already being affected by it. So what can I say about them?
Yeah, I agree. I think you just try Bradley anyway. At this point.
Yeah.
I think Conor Bradley's brilliant. I just worry about his injuries. Because he's coming off the back of a hamstring injury there, and the way he plays, it's very high intensity. But when we say our best performance of the season type thing, if I was to like properly think about it, like our best performances, my personal favourite performance this season, Conor Bradley was the right back, 2-0 Real Madrid. And he was arguably man of the match on the day. So it's not like you put him in over Trent and all of a sudden the team, that position falls to shit. Conor Bradley's a brilliant right back. He's Northern Ireland captain, for fuck's sake, at 21. Like, this is not some bum who's only good enough for bottom half games. This is a lad who can perform in the top games, as we saw last season, and as we've seen when he's got chances this season. So if Trent thinks he's big enough to go to Real Madrid and handle all that, I'm not arsed. I've got Conor Bradley, and we'll start the cycle again.
I completely disagree, but fine. It's on the manager to get the best out of the best offensive right back in the league. It's not on the Trent thing.
No,
he didn't perform yesterday.
It is on the manager to make a system that wins games for the football club. My manager has built a system that wins games for the football club. My right back isn't utilised in it, so I'm not going to go, oh my God, I know Arnie Slott's got us top of the league, 6 points clear, top of the Champions League, unbeaten. But you know what, Arnie? The system he built? Fuck it off. Let's go play a system where Trent's the heart of it.
Your system relies so much on Mohamed Salah. You have other outlets. You need to use Trent going forward. Your system relies so much on one player.
Okay, Mohamed Salah didn't have a great game yesterday. I thought he didn't get the ball much, but he didn't have the greatest of games yesterday. We used the front coat.
You say the system wins your game, which is, I agree. He's built a very, very good system. But you have a weapon, maybe use that weapon going forward.
No, because the weapon doesn't want to defend when he's allowed to go forward. So why the fuck would I use the weapon?
He was never defending against when Jurgen Klopp was here and you were winning champions in the Premier League.
No, and that is why in recent years we haven't won those things.
Because of Trent.
Because
managers cannot cover his flaws. Every single fullback has flaws. Every single player has flaws.
I agree.
And his flaw is defending. And it's on, if he's
That's not a good flaw to have for a fucking right back, is it?
Yeah, it's on the manager to find
can't defend.
Habibi, it's not a defender. He's an attacking right back. Same as a lot of people. A lot of players. By the way, hear me out. Olu yesterday gave a very, very good example. Pirlo, as brilliant as he is, one of my favorite footballers ever, probably the second after R9, he wasn't good in moving around and defending and putting in tackles. So the managers, because he's so good, would put a Gattuso or an Ambrosini, or in the Italian national team, they would put a De Rossi to fight for him, to run around him. I said that yesterday on the show.
Mo, we done that. We done that though. We done that for years. We had Henderson there. But Henderson could only do it for a year. And then teams found that out because it was quite easy then to just stop the right back from putting crosses in. And then we had no attack. Then when we started inverting Trent, we made any guy who played right centre back cover right back and right centre back, so Trent doesn't have to get back as much. What that means is you get overloaded and you concede goals. You know what we've done this year? We've went, Trent, you're a part of the system. You're not the system. You are part of the system. You will play as a right back. And you know what that done? For the first 3 months, when he was bought in, when he didn't have any of this Real Madrid shit going on, he was doing well. He was looking really good defensively.
I think it's also because of the Real Madrid thing.
I think a large part of it is contract talk and what he's allowed to build up.
Yeah,
I'll put it this way, Mo. If it came down to it and it was either you get rid of Trent or you entirely adjust the system so Trent's the key creative hub of it, Trent can
But he wasn't.
Trent was.
There was Firmino, there was Salah, there was still Mane.
No,
not everything was played around him, bro.
First iteration of Liverpool, the fullbacks were pushed so high and so wide that they were the chief wide creators. Trent Alexander-Arnold, for the last 2 years before Slot came in, the system was built around him. Last year was built solely around letting him invert to the detriment of the team at points, but it was allowing him to invert. But when he doesn't play well, which, let's be honest, there are plenty of games where he doesn't play well, the team where he is the key part of it looks shit. Now, would I want my key guy in the team, the guy that the team's built around, to be Trent or Mohamed Salah, a guy who has given me 8 years of guaranteed consistency, or a right back who, when he's on it or when he's not, when he can be arsed, when he can't be arsed, there's too many inconsistencies, there's too many flaws with Trent. Salah is a guaranteed goal getter. He's a guaranteed assist creator. He's a guaranteed threat. That's who I want my chief creator to be. I am not in the notion that Trent should be the guy the system is built around. I don't think building your system around a right back, because that is the only position he can play, or building your system around a right back is the way forward. We will not win if we build our system around a right back. It should be built around guys going forward. And if Trent believes he deserves 400 grand a week to be an above average right back, then go get it at Real Madrid, because you shouldn't be getting it here.
Tom, should you have taken the 20 million? Or is that just a little bit too low?
I've said for the past week, the one thing he doesn't want us to do is accept that bid, because it puts it in his hands. Right now, he can claim sort of plausible deniability and everything. I want him to have to come out and say something. I want us to go out there and accept the next bid that comes in. 25 million.
Oh, he's frozen.
Accept it. Do it. And then he's fucked. Then he's fucked. Because either he goes to Madrid and he misses out on winning the Premier League and potentially a Champions League, and good luck to him, or he stays and then he's kind of shoehorned into signing a deal at Liverpool because he's turned down Madrid. And he's fucked either way. But the way he's handled the situation...
Really on the Trent hate. He really just hates Trent now at the current moment.
He's tried to hold his football club to ransom.
So did Mohamed Salah before.
He didn't
want to sign the contract.
Liverpool not holding Trent to ransom as well?
We've offered him 300 grand a week.
Have you? Is that factually true?
Yeah. That's
right,
true.
Okay, fair enough.
We've offered him 300 grand a week.
£78 million a contract for 5 years.
We've offered to make him the highest paid right back in the history of the fucking sport.
So what? Why won't you sell him in Jan? Like, what is Liverpool's stance? It's just too low a fee.
No idea. No, I think it's because then we'd have to buy a right back, and God knows we don't want to buy anyone in January.
I see.
But
could you not get away with Connor, Bradley, and like Gomez for
potentially? But then you're short of one guy in defence, because Gomez would
only if they can buy a centre back. Only if they buy a centre back.
If you sell Trent, you've got to buy, and the club don't like buying unless it's a really good value in January, which I don't think you're going to get one in this one. I mean,
but surely 20 mil in the bank is better to, or 25 million, whatever it is better to have on the books than nothing come the end of the season.
Yeah, with performances like this, yeah.
Logically, yeah. Logically, yeah. I mean, I personally would like us to go and push the needle and try and go and get someone. You know, we had interest in Nwaneri 2 years ago. Offer them Trent and a good amount of money and go get Nwaneri and sort your midfield out. And then deal, because he can play centre back as well if it came down to it. So for 6 months, you could deal with it that way. Try and put the pressure on him. That's what we need to do. We'll let, the thing is, you can let Salah and Van Dijk do what they're doing, and say what they're saying. Because their performances aren't dropping off. Their performances aren't decreasing. Mohamed Salah just produced the single greatest month in Premier League history for goal and assist numbers. That's not a guy who's affected by contract talk. That's not a guy who can't handle media speculation. Virgil van Dijk yesterday was brilliant. Virgil van Dijk this season's been brilliant. That's a guy who's not affected by it. Now go to Trent. Anytime there's a report from Spain or there's a new thing that drops, you've got a 50-50 chance of him either playing okay and then doing like he actually means something.
I don't know if he's doing this for the fans, bro. That is so shameless.
Or he turns into utter dog shit like he done against Fulham and United. It's a 50-50 shot. I can't win either way, and I can't have a right back who I've got a 50-50 chance are going to play well.
Yeah, to be honest. You know what? When I'm going to do a couple of super chats. So one of them is related to what you're saying, and I want other people to respond to this. I still dislike you, Mo. Big up to you and the panel. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate you. Sonny Badil is saying, does it screw Trent signing on fee by selling him?
Yes, because we get the signing on fee as a transfer fee.
Hold on. This Liverpool fan base completely want to screw the guy's life. Their main target in life now.
Oh no! What's he ever going to do without that money? It's not like he's going to be on 400 fucking grand a week.
Yeah.
It's not like he's got sponsorship deals.
Sonny's really asking, how can we screw this guy's deal with Real Madrid? If that is the case, sell him now. That's actually crazy super chat, to be honest. Redline Taranga saying, Tom, if we sell Trent, we're not winning the Premier League. Simple. Gonna actually ask someone else this, not you. Gonna ask Nobbins this.
What if they sell?
That's an opinion. Redline Taranga has always, even on Sam's halftime show, he said that they don't think they'll win. He doesn't think that they win the Premier League if they sell Trent.
Oh, yeah, because Trent's been so fucking important this season. Sorry, Nobbins, carry on.
No, well, I know Tom has feelings. They're obviously valid, but it is legitimate to say that they are obviously. I know it was a bad game yesterday, but they are obviously a worse outfit without Trent than with him. Generally speaking, I know that he wasn't great against United, but that doesn't change the reality that Bradley's a good player, but Trent is an elite player. That doesn't change my opinion in that respect. So from in terms of a downgrade, for me, they are going into a weaker situation. So then it just depends on, can Arsenal bridge that gap? That would be the follow-up question.
But what does Trent have to do with this, in your opinion? You think that Trent, if performances like yesterday are recurring, he should be taken off the lineup, and
sure,
and Bradley should play.
Right, but I'm not willing to use a one-game sample size as a yardstick for his performances all season.
Yeah, but Tom has been saying that he hasn't been good all season, Nobbins. That is Tom's thing. He said he provided
I never said the words he hasn't been good all season.
I don't think that was the argument.
I said we haven't utilised him all season.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's correct, by the way, because there was a really nice graph. I think it was by Opta Analyst. It tracked Trent's touches. In the 1920 season, he was strictly on the right touchline, basically like a right winger sort of guy. Last year, the whole inverted stuff. This season, his touch map is more like a typical right back. So Tom is right there. The role has shifted massively. But
let's put it on Trent. Yes,
Trent's been very good this season for me. When Liverpool win the ball back, he's capable of just immediately picking the ball up, looking up, bam, hitting Mo Salah, who can immediately do a dangerous counter attack. So yeah, he is very important to the side. Tom's even touched on Bradley's injury record. What if they sell Trent and now all of a sudden Bradley picks up an injury? Who's the next option? Would it be Gomez?
No, Gomez was injured. Gomez was injured.
But in theory, it would be Gomez, wouldn't it?
It will be yes.
It was Tsimikas.
So
okay, at some point, Tom, if Kwanza's injured, Gomez is injured, and Bradley's injured, then you are
why
is
Kwanza injured? Why is Kwanza not injured?
Is he not injured?
No, we just didn't play him yesterday.
Even if it was Kwanza, whoever it is, they aren't going to be able to supply Salah in a similar manner. So I think that a consequence might even be that Salah's productivity would also take a bit of a hit as well. That doesn't mean it falls off a cliff, but it might fall down. So I would say that it would definitely weaken them. And then it just depends on how well you think Arsenal are going to do from now to the end of the season. I think that's the question for me.
Good segue to Arsenal, actually. These fans are lunatics who says we cannot win without Trent. Listen, opinions differ.
I would back Conor Bradley. If we put Conor Bradley in this Liverpool team, I don't think you would see that big a drop off. Certainly not defensively. I think if you had Conor Bradley in this Liverpool team, you'd actually see a slight upgrade defensively because Bradley is better. He's quicker for one. So if he does go forward, he gets back better, and it would mean that Canate doesn't have to cover two positions at once.
I'm just thinking about like squad balance and numbers as well. Though Tom, like unless you sign a replacement.
Logically, you need to sell. If you sell Trent this window, you need to get a replacement in.
Yes.
That's what you need to do.
Yes.
Dumfries is.
No.
Denzel Dumfries.
I'll take him.
He's too old.
It's good. Denzel Dumfries. He's in his 20s.
He's too old. How old's Denzel Dumfries?
I don't know. He's in his 20s. I don't know.
I'll tell you right now.
Tom's got his FM brain on right now, thinking that
he's 28.
26
Yeah, it's good. He'll give you good 4 years.
Prime.
Yeah,
he scored a magnificent goal the other day against Atalanta.
So then why do you want to get rid of him? If he's that good, why do you want to get rid of him?
And he's got no rated
30 million, and you'll take him. Take Lautaro as well. Pay 100, you take both.
You'll have to pay us to take Lautaro, I'll tell you that.
Take Lautaro on Dumfries and give us Darwin Núñez and pay 100 mil and be all right.
I'm not paying. No, fuck that. I'm not paying. Fuck that, no.
Bro, I'm going to give you a Copa America winner. Lautaro Martinez. The World Cup winner.
That's a good point.
We all remember.
We
all remember that World Cup performance from Lautaro Martinez.
We'll see how it goes. But listen, segue to, should we go to City or Arsenal? Guys, there's about 500 people here or 480 people
more
here.
to talk about with Arsenal.
Guys, can we get the likes up a little bit to 200? You guys are so shameless. You guys haven't hit that like button. Also, all these guys' channels are in the description. Guys, we really need in the next 5 minutes to get to 200 likes. It helps the show. It helps the channel. So hit that like button, people. Let's get to 200 likes. Yes, now we increased by 12 just in 1 second. So you can hit that like button. My man here is saying, Niji saying, have you heard dressing room dispute? He must decide. This was a rumor. Did anybody see that? Arsenal accounts.
It was a rumor started by an Arsenal account.
AFC came in, started the rumor.
The same fella who also said that last year Curtis Jones apparently grew up as an Arsenal fan and was going to join Arsenal in the summer.
Yeah.
But just on that, if there was a dressing room dispute, if I'm a Liverpool fan, I want there to be a dressing room dispute. I want to say that's not bloody good enough. Do better, sunshine. So if there is, good.
Thank you. Absolutely, I agree with you. People are having a meltdown. Even if Van Dijk is the captain, he's telling these guys, "You have to be better. You have to put the effort." That's good. And if he's telling Trent, "If you don't want to be here, don't be here," that's good. Make the kid make up his mind. It's good. It's not bad.
Do you understand how bad and how stupid you have to be as a Scouser to have me go against you? I will back any Scouse who plays for Liverpool to the hills and back. I was the guy defending Curtis Jones for years.
That's why you like Gerrard more than Salah, even though Salah is your best player ever.
It's Stevie G. But I am firmly in the camp of Van Dijk here. I couldn't be more in the camp of Van Dijk here over Trent. I couldn't be more in the camp of anyone against Trent at the minute because he's not helping himself. I'm not saying what Trent needs to do right now is sign this contract. No, what he needs to do is do exactly what Salah and Van Dijk have done and come out and say something, anything. Because right now, it's a circus around him and we're getting no clarity.
Watch Tom back him once if he signs a new contract with Liverpool in the next week or something. Watch Tom come here and says, "Oh my God, he's the best right back in the history of the Prem."
Yeah,
absolutely, bro. Watch it. Anyway, before Rory comes in, were Arsenal robbed? Dan.
Yeah. Well, for the penalty, yes. It's not a pen. Like you can see clearly that he gets a touch on the ball before there's any contact. And for me, and earlier on in the season, even for the PGMOL, that wasn't a penalty for Robert Sanchez in the Liverpool game. So it's the same, and obviously a different action. But if you make contact, then touch the player, apparently that rules it out of being a penalty.
Nobbins?
I need you to clarify the question.
Was it a penalty? For you.
That's a very different question to where Arsenal robbed. Very different question.
Why? Why it's a different question? Can you elaborate?
Because
Brighton deserved a draw, but it wasn't.
Yeah, they're over.
Yeah, but that's different. Okay.
The verb to rob suggests
we-
that Arsenal were denied a clear victory, and I don't know if I would agree with that line of thinking.
That's different. If
Indeed.
it doesn't matter your
So I'm
it
asking you to
doesn't
clarify.
your performance won't matter if you were 1-0 up. We would have never known if Brighton would have scored or not. We can
Right.
talk about the performance, right? But the draw, it's a 1-1 draw. The goal for Brighton was a penalty. If that penalty does not get called, Arsenal might have walked away with 3 points.
Or Brighton may have scored anyway.
But Brighton haven't scored apart from the penalty.
But they may have done because you've changed reality there. It's
exactly.
a
They
crossroads
may.
now. It's like Back to the Future 2. We've gone back to 1955 and we've changed the outcome. Now we've gone to the future with where Biff is in charge of the world. You know, in 1985.
Nobbins, there is a fact that Brighton walked away with a point because they were awarded a penalty. Is that a fact or not a fact?
Within this reality, yes.
Thank you so much. And this is the reality here. It's
Right, that's fine.
2025,
But if
January
you're-
6th.
But if you're asking me, were they robbed? I personally think that on the balance of play, a draw was a fair result. I thought that 1-1 was a fair
And
result.
I don't disagree with you.
So therefore, I'm not going to say. I will say that it was a bizarre penalty. I don't know if I've ever seen it before. Instinctively, I thought it was a penalty. Now I genuinely have no idea. I don't know what the rules are. It probably isn't a penalty. It's a weird one, isn't it? Objectively, it's probably one of those where, like, if it's not given, VAR does nothing. But if it is given, VAR can't overturn it. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's a thing. It's a real, but it's no doubt it's a really weird situation. Yeah, I thought Brighton played quite well. I thought 1-0 was fine.
Tommy, what about the penalty? Okay. No, Nobbins didn't answer the question. What about the penalty?
I think
What?
fucking
What
funny.
about
Isn't
the
it?
penalty?
No, I said it's probably not a penalty. It is weird.
Okay. Tom?
It is weird.
I don't think when I first watched it, I thought it's a penalty because I thought that the only thing, to be fair, if Saliba hadn't have got the touch on the ball, I would still say it's a penalty because for me it's the exact same thing as when we had it. I don't know if you watched the Wolves-Bournemouth game this season. Jose Sarr goes to kick the ball out and Evan Nielsen touches it ahead of him and Jose Sarr kicks Evan Nielsen and then it's a penalty. It was a similar sort of thing there, but Saliba got a touch on the ball, so I don't really see how it can be given. But on the basis of the line where Arsenal robbed on Saturday, no, because I thought Brighton were good for the points. I thought that Arsenal done the same thing that they've done a lot of times this season, rightly or wrongly, which is go 1-0 up and then try and hold on to a 1-0 lead. And then against a lot, the problem in the Premier League is a lot of teams nowadays have guys who can hurt you, have guys who can get that goal. And when I know Nwaneri went off injured, which is a blow for him, because I thought he was very good beforehand. But in that case, I just feel like Arsenal need to keep the pressure up and try and get that second before you go into this defensive structure, because what happened was the moment Brighton equalised, Brighton, they went for an equaliser kind of, but they were quite happy to take the draw, and Arsenal couldn't necessarily get back out then and attack in the same way they were at the start of the game, which just sort of led to the last 20 minutes being this sort of weird, drab, dull sort of affair. So I think Brighton were good for the point, but I certainly don't think we'll see a penalty like that again anytime soon. I feel like it's another one of them flaws with VAR because it's not a clear and obvious error. But I think if Anthony Taylor had the chance to go watch that again, he probably wouldn't have given it.
I was say I felt like Brighton created the two best chances of the game. To be honest, there was one Andringa is he called the left winger?
Adingra,
yeah, in the first half. I have no idea how he missed that. That was ridiculous. And then the one in the second, I think it was when it was like 65th minute or something. I can't remember exactly, where I think Moreno engaged too quickly and Calafiori engaged too quickly. And it came from the right side. It was a similar position to Nwaneri's goal, and at the right winger, I can't remember who it was. He missed it as well. So yeah, I thought that again, felt 1-0 was a fair reflection of the game.
Okay, before Rory goes on, I think it's 100% a penalty because the referee gave it on the pitch. It's a follow through. It goes under the conditions of a follow through. Yes, Saliba got a touch, accidental. The ball just went through his hair or his head, but he literally headbutted the guy and prevented him from going after the ball. And I think it was 100% a penalty for me. And if it was this against my team, I would be fuming. It's exactly as someone goes for a tackle. And it's not a touch, it's a headbutt. So it goes through endangering an opponent. If you go through a tackle and even if you touch the ball and you go and your follow through takes out the player completely, the penalty will be given. And the touch was so slight that I think he took out Joao Pedro. That is my opinion.
That
it's a penalty.
At so many corners though, and there won't even be a touch from the defender, and it's not given as a pen. So that's where I'm confused.
I didn't. Okay, hold on. Let me just answer Daniel.
Ryan Mason,
I haven't seen that for a long time with that force, with a player going with their head, that force, and he hits the player like. I really thought that Joao Pedro.
So how much force do you think was in this? There was no force. It was so much force that Saliba barely even noticed that they touched heads. Joao Pedro rolls around like he's been smacked around the head with a baseball bat, and within 5 seconds of the penalty being awarded, he's up on his feet loving life. It barely touched him. Oh, that's the worst thing you've said. Force.
You really didn't think that was force in this head, but it was
it's forced to head the ball away. It's not forced to hurt someone.
I'll tell you the other thing. The use of the word headbutt is one of the. You need a headbutt to knock a bit of sense into you. If you think that's a headbutt, you need someone to actually headbutt you with force and knock a bit of sense into you.
Look at Zidane. That's a completely different action.
What are we doing? A headbutt.
Yes.
A headbutt. So every time two players go for a header and they collide heads, it's they've headbutted each other.
That's what
if someone is trying to control the ball, if someone is trying to control the ball, Joao Pedro was not even trying to hit it. He was trying to control the ball, and Saliba prevented him from going through the ball.
If someone runs along just juggling the ball on top of their head, like you get bloody, one of the skillers from YouTube to just get on the pitch juggling the ball on their head. No one can do anything at that point then. Because if you touch them and they're in control of the ball...
There was a Brazilian player. What was his name? There was a Brazilian
I remember that one.
What are we doing here?
I can't remember his name.
What are we doing?
I'm going to look.
So
we just have to agree to disagree.
No, we don't, because you're wrong. Here's an example, right? A ball comes into the front post. Cross comes into the front post. The attacking player, as they often do, gets a flick on. And someone piles into the back of them. A defender piles into the back of them. Happens all the time. That should be a penalty every time, by your logic.
No, it shouldn't.
Why?
It's the manner of the contact.
What's the difference?
There wasn't a headbutt in that one.
There's a thing about it. I really thought it was a headbutt. And I watched it again. It's definitely a headbutt.
In real time, I didn't think it was incorrect to award a penalty.
Thank you so much. And I don't think it was efficient.
But I've now since the replay's a thing. So for me, the question becomes, if we're talking about the validity of the decision, the question then becomes, what is the official rule in respect of like the VAR team and can they overturn it? Because again, in real time, I don't think it was incorrect to award it because I thought it was a penalty as well at the time, in real time. So for me, the question becomes, what is the official rule thereafter?
So the ball's
I don't know what it is.
The ball's in the air. Both players go to header it. Both players make contact with the ball with their head, and then their heads collide. And we're saying that's a penalty. And some of us are saying, and some of us are going as far as saying that is a headbutt and violent conduct.
I don't know if I go that far, but as I say, in real time, I did think it was a foul. Yes, I've since altered that view, but in real time, I did think that.
That might be the funniest thing you've said. A headbutt implies that he's seen Joao Pedro take that little touch, and he's went, you know what? Fuck off.
Literally, I'm lost. I'm lost with the sport. I can't. I'm lost. Sometimes I'm rendered speechless, and this is what I'm not rendered speechless because I'll continue talking about how fucking mental it is to say that that's a headbutt.
I just watched it again. I sent you the video where I watched it again.
I've seen it enough times. I don't need to see it again.
By your logic, Mo, Summers' punch was a penalty for Arsenal. Absolutely not, because they did not prevent. Okay, that Summer touched the ball, and it did not prevent. I think it was Gabriel from getting to the ball. Okay, let me explain. I just watched it again.
So Summer Superman punches Marino to the head, to the skull.
Rory, let me finish. Rory. Can I finish the point?
No, yeah, finish. It's only going to get more nonsensical.
Okay, the difference is Joao Pedro, if Saliba doesn't headbutt him, Joao Pedro goes to try to control the ball because he's trying to play the ball. He's trying to dribble Saliba. Gabriel heads it right towards the goal kick. And Sommer touched the ball and it was supposed to be given a corner, but they didn't give it as a corner. That is the difference between the two plays. That is the difference between the two plays. Here, Joao Pedro is controlling the ball. I don't know how many times go and watch it. I know you've watched it 100 times. Joao Pedro is going to control the ball with his head. He's dribbling Saliba. And Saliba headbutts him, prevents him from getting to the ball. If this was against my team, I really would have asked for a penalty.
I'm just lost. I'm lost. I'm lost. I'm staggered.
Aren't headbutts like an illegal move in like MMA and stuff? And Mo's just saying that Saliba pulled one out.
If it's a headbutt, William Saliba should be sent off for violent conduct.
No, because it's accidental.
You can't accidentally headbutt someone. You physically cannot accidentally headbutt someone. In the same way, that's not a thing. You can't accidentally headbutt.
Okay, but what's the name for what Saliba did then?
A clash of heads, which we see
head clash
5 times, 10 times a weekend.
Listen,
headbutt implies.
We have to agree to disagree, guys. We have to agree, and maybe you all think I'm wrong, and I will just say that maybe I just watched it again. By the way, I just watched it again.
No, but Mo, the
term headbutt, listen,
headbutt implies intent.
I literally watched it again, and I still stand by. If this was against my team, I really would wanted a penalty for this. I watched it again.
Do you think maybe we just have eyes, by the way, I was just watching it again. Do you think he shuts his eyes so he's unaware of the touch? Yeah,
I think he knows they're going to clash heads.
Yeah. Oh, really? I'm not sure whether he shuts his eyes thinking he's going to head the ball.
Oh, so there was intent to clash heads. Crazy.
No, I just think he doesn't expect Joao Pedro to take that touch. I just don't think he does. I think he.
Did you watch it again, Dan? Did you see the angle that I watched then?
Yeah.
If this was against my team, I would be like, okay. Especially, hold on. Can I say something, Rory?
Never a penalty. Never a penalty.
Before I go on again, if this was given on the pitch, I would not think that VAR would overturn it for my team. If this was not given, I might understand why they wouldn't give it.
But firstly, if that isn't giving us a penalty, this isn't a controversial talking point. No one after that game is going, I can't believe that clash of heads wasn't given us a penalty. Everyone's going, well, there's never ever in the history of football been a penalty for that. So I'm not particularly surprised.
I honestly think, by the way, there's more intent on Kulusevski, on Anthony Gordon, than there is on
100%. Yeah, that is a red card.
I looked at that and was like, I think that's a penalty. But 100%. more so than I ever looked at Saliba.
And Kulusevski didn't touch the ball, which is a massive
part. But that's so true, Rory.
Watch the.
And by the way, before even the after game, I said that Kulusevski should have been sent off because he went with his shoulder, knowing that he's gonna hurt Anthony Gordon in his face.
Watch the wide angle back. Watch the wide angle of the penalty back. You tell me how many Brighton players appeal for a penalty. They all see it in real time. You tell me how many of those Brighton players even suggest that they think it's a penalty.
Send me the video. I'll watch it again.
None of them. I'll tell you.
I believe
none of them.
I believe
the only person that appeals for anything is as the ball's getting cleared. Once the ball's been cleared, I think it's a Dinger on the left-hand side, appeals for play to be stopped for a head injury because obviously Joao Pedro is acting like he's been smacked around the head with a baseball bat. Also, he then gets up and takes the penalty rather than going off for a head injury, despite the fact that he was rolling around as if he'd been, fractured his skull. So that's an interesting one to talk about as well. But the point is, there wasn't a single Brighton player that thought that was a penalty. There wasn't a single Brighton fan that thought it was a penalty. The only person in the stadium that thought that was a penalty was Anthony Taylor. The same Anthony Taylor that when Konate absolutely wiped out Martinelli earlier in the season and maybe got a fraction of the ball before doing it, the same Anthony Taylor looked at that and said, no, that's not a penalty.
The same Anthony Taylor that is the reason Arteta has an FA Cup. Just to put that out there.
No.
Oh yeah,
no.
Let's. Oh yeah, I don't know if Roy was going to do that. But there's not a conspiracy. Let's just put it out.
You voiced your frustration at me, which is fine. It's just part of being on a panel. And sometimes I have to just accept it. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm open to accept that. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe Saliba shouldn't headbutt people then.
Maybe.
Look, we'll address this now. That super chat. Excuses FC.
Which one? This one. You're right away.
About excuses, right? Arsenal's performance wasn't great. Don't get me wrong, right? Half the team are ill. We're depleted anyway. That's not an excuse either. The performance it was just one of those games. It's your second game in 4 days away from home. You go 1-0 up and you try and come away with a 1-0. There's this idea, and especially with Arsenal, because we have been on the wrong end. You don't have to outplay every single opponent to win every single game. Like Man City have games where they don't outperform the opponent. But just because they haven't outperformed them doesn't mean that they didn't deserve to win. Like, that's football. And it's very difficult if every single time you have one of those games, you're also on the wrong end of an insane call. So we've had 2 red cards with Trossard and Rice earlier in the season. And this is the thing. This is where it comes to the gaslighting. When those red cards happened earlier in the season, everyone was like, no, that's it. That's the rule. It happens. The rules apply to everyone. We know factually since then that happens pretty much every game and no one gets a card for it. Haaland yesterday, same referee that sent Trossard off, Michael Oliver. He looks at it. Haaland actually stops a quick free kick being taken. Van Dijk screams at him. So Michael Oliver's been alerted to the fact that this has happened. He doesn't book him. I think they've actually had a conversation now at PGMOL, Howard Webb, that's not a bookable offence anymore. If they've just rolled the ball away, that they're not booking them. But that means that they experimented a rule. It got used twice and it cost Arsenal 4 points. These are results that affect titles. They have massive impacts on the title race. And Arsenal have been on the wrong side of 4 of them at this point. Yes,
Before
we didn't play well enough.
We can. I need to analyze the performance. I have a different opinion. Maybe you can debate it with me. I have a different opinion with you about the performance. But let me just do this. Nags is saying can't watch Liverpool, but can't watch live, but wanted to ask Mo on the panel. What is more likely, City catch Arsenal or Arsenal catch Liverpool? Dan.
Arsenal catch. Sorry. My name.
I'm gonna come to you. I just wanted someone that is not in the.
I got so excited. I got excited.
No. Before you go on, the reason why I asked Dan Nobbins, it's not disrespect, is that because his team is not mentioned in the super chat.
No, of course. No, I got excited. Sorry, my bad.
Dan.
City catch Liverpool, I think, is more likely than the other two.
No. Hold on. This is not the super chat. This is not
this guy.
It is not the question.
Haaland's back. Savinho's getting goals and assists.
It's not the question. City catch
in all
Arsenal.
seriousness, I think City will catch Arsenal. Yeah.
Oh my word! Oh my days! Nobbins now.
Obviously, Arsenal catching Liverpool.
Oh, right. Okay. Oh, I thought that was very obvious, by the way.
Really?
Yeah,
I agree. I agree with Nobbins.
I don't buy it.
Is that because you have no faith in Arsenal or because you do have faith in City?
I have faith in City.
Yeah, that's mental. I can't lie.
No, really, I'm not sure.
We put in some dusty performances against West Ham and Leicester, but get the win. You've been hoodwinked.
No, but what was so important, Nobbins, is you got those results.
Sure.
And then that allows you to, that obviously stops the rut and then allows you to start building again and just install some confidence into players.
I'll be at West Ham on exactly the most prestigious of opposition.
I'm not saying that they are, but Man City needed
my
to
video
get
yesterday and said, by the way, Mo, you're so talking about City. You fucking beat shitty West Ham. They just didn't beat anyone good. So I agree with
I also think that Arsenal are probably more likely to falter than Liverpool over the next amount of games, just on the evidence that I've seen this season. And if not, the referees will help out.
The Arsenal fans wouldn't tell you that. I'll tell you that much for free. They know our fixtures better than I do. They've told me that I've got so many away games coming up that I'm not going to win.
Thank you.
The dates of them, honestly, if you want to know about the next game, just go ask the Arsenal fans on Twitter. Ridiculous.
Let me finish this. Why did Taylor take 3 seconds to blow the whistle? Maybe he was thinking about it. I don't know. That also is a question that I asked myself, and I don't know the answer to it. Ashraf.
I mean,
because he was thinking about it.
He's just witnessed a violent assault. You know, something that's not even allowed in the UFC happen on the football pitch with a clear headbutt. You know,
I get someone agrees. Someone here agrees with me. My man John is saying if Saliba touches the ball first, then no penalty. But Pedro touches the ball first, past Saliba, and Saliba gets a touch, and then Saliba smacks him on the temple accidentally. It's a penalty.
If the heads were feet, would it be a different conversation?
No, because Robert Sanchez was feet, and it was almost identical against Liverpool. And the action looked like it was a penalty, but they literally said it wasn't because he got an accidental touch on the ball.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know where this whole thing, like accidental versus deliberate touch on the ball. Saliba's going to win a header. Whether or not he heads it onto Pedro's head or Pedro heads it onto his head, I don't understand what the difference there is.
I want to move on from the penalty because
True,
I want
actually, that's true,
I
actually,
want to actually a little
They got
bit push
Brighton.
back on what Rory said. I thought that what you did against Brentford when you went 2-1 up and you really pushed for the third and you put them under a lot of pressure and you prevented them from passing the ball at the back. I thought that Arsenal at 1-0 should have done that. You started the second half on the back foot a little bit, and I thought the pressure was a little bit half-ass press. The first half, Moreno and Rice was so high pressing up that prevented Brighton from having any momentum trying to play through you. And I thought that Arteta should have continued with that pattern, at least for some time, to break Brighton's play from the back and all that, because you dispossessed Brighton a couple of times in the first half. You prevented them from playing. And the last point is that I think Saliba and Gabriel are better defenders in spaces. They can handle personality. They can handle one-on-one. They can handle spaces rather than box defenders like a Tarkovsky or other people. I think Arsenal are a team that like to play on the front foot, especially in some games. I'm not saying you do this against City, right? But that is what I think Arsenal should have done, Rory.
Yes, it's what I'd have liked us to have done. With the personnel that we had, I don't know if we could have. Ødegaard normally leads our press. He didn't start the game. I don't think there was ever any actual intention of bringing him on if we didn't have to, because he was ill. I think he played 90 minutes pretty much against Brentford and was then bedbound after it, and then still played 4 days later. Jorginho in the midfield means if you press and get caught out, you're in big trouble, especially when you've then also got Partey at right back. So I think personnel limited us.
But you did it with the first half, Rory. But you did it in the first half.
Yeah,
you were able to do it with the same personnel.
Yes. We did get caught out a couple of times, like the Adingra chance that Nobbins mentioned. B, I think half of that squad is shattered. I don't know how many of them are ill. Some people are saying Marino went into it ill as well. And we'll never know. And again, people will say that's an excuse, but like, you know what Arsenal look like when we're firing on all cylinders. You know that we press high normally. I just think they were knackered. And, you know, it was one of those where we tried to see it out in a different way. And maybe we would have done if, you know, a penalty that you'll never see again in your life doesn't get given. So
I think Brighton... Sorry, Rory, go on.
No, I was just saying stuff.
I was going to say, I think like, Brighton also do need to be given a lot of credit as well, to be fair, because we've addressed the Arsenal injuries and there were many, but I think Brighton, in fairness, also had as many or if not even more out. Like if there was no Dunk, there was no Welbeck, there was no Ferguson, there was no Milner, there was no Hinshelwood. I can't recall the name of their left wing back, but they had a lot of players out as well, and they created a few good chances. You know, they fought. I think it was Jorginho who was forced into an error, as you touched on, Rory, there with the pressing situation. I thought that they identified that Calafiori tends to he's too overly active at times. That's what I've noticed. I do like Calafiori, but I have noticed that sometimes he overcommits himself, if that makes sense. That's how like they nearly scored at 1-1. I thought Brighton did quite well.
They did. Brighton were very good, and that's why when these like penalty decisions happen, they actually affect both teams because it has overshadowed Brighton's performance. The fact that that's the main talking point after the game. That's why I think PGMOL needs to be fucked off and everyone needs to be sacked at that company, because they are ruining good games by, you know, you look at it like the top 15, 20 most viewed clips most weekends are referee talking points.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And that needs to be looked at. But no, Brighton were very good. I think the big difference between the way Brighton play and the way that a lot of opposition that Arsenal have played this season play, and this is where I wouldn't have started Jorginho and I didn't think he suited the game, is that no matter the opposition, no matter who they've got available, Brighton will play in the same way under Fabian Hürzeler. They will. It's quite an awkward way that they play. But they will press you high. It's very energetic, and we struggle to deal with that. So yeah, I don't want to take away from what Brighton did, but I still feel like, you know, before the penalty, they'd created like 0.5 XG, you know, and most of that was that Adingra chance. So yeah, it's just one of those that's frustrating. And you know.
Do we believe Arsenal will go? Okay, Arsenal must go on a run, like at least win more than 3 games in a row. Why?
Maybe we win
though?
more than 3 in a row. We don't have the players to do that. Apart from anything else, we don't have Bukayo Saka, who, even despite the number of games that he's now missed, is still significantly ahead on big chances created of any other player in the Premier League this season. We have no replacement for that, to the point where we resorted to using a 17-year-old.
He was very
actually
good, Rory.
worked
He
all
was
right.
so good.
Yeah, now he's injured as well.
How bad is the injury? Because no one told.
We don't know. We don't know. He went off at half time.
They haven't told anyone.
Arteta said it looks bad. It's muscular. So
for fuck's sake.
you've got to assume that's minimum like 2 to 4 weeks, probably. And by that point, we could be out of everything. You know, the next 4 games that we've got is Carabao Cup semi-final tomorrow night. Like, you look at how dead the team looked by the end of the Brighton game. The once we conceded, the fact that we could not get back into the game at all. And like 3 days later, we've got another game against Newcastle, who are on fire. Then we've got United in the FA Cup at the weekend, but United have now got a full week off because they're not in the Carabao Cup, and they look like they've a morale and a confidence boost. And then we've got Spurs at home in the Premier League, and then we've got Villa at home in the Premier League. Now, Spurs have got quite a few players out as well, so that's a game that I think we should win. But
100%. It's your ground. You should smash Spurs, to be honest with you. You should smash Spurs.
We've got no attacking players. We had two players on our bench against Brighton in Butler, Oyadeji, and Kabia.
But you have 4. You have Martinelli, Trossard, Jesus, and Havertz at the current moment.
Sounds like you need to sign one.
Yeah. So Martinelli's carrying something, which is why he didn't start. And Arteta confirmed he's got a knock. You've then got Jesus, Trossard, and Havertz is still. I mean, this illness that Havertz has got, he's missed the last 2 games completely. So who knows how long it will take him to get back up to speed. So, yeah, arguably it's like 3 attacking players. Ødegaard looks well off it at the moment. It's, you know.
What do you mean off it? I thought he's not that bad, yeah.
He looks since he had a baby, his partner had a baby, he looks very tired. I mean, his performance when he came on against Brighton was really poor. He's
so rich he can hire a nanny. I'm sure. You can hire a nanny.
I'm sure he can, but you know, depends if he actually wants to be a functioning father. But also, I think he came back from his injury. Yeah, he had like 3 months off with that injury. Came back and just plays every minute, and he's he leads the press. He's constantly running.
Did he have a pre-season, Rory?
Yeah, he had pre-season. He got injured in like in the first international break.
Right.
And
then you remember the Achilles injury then? You remember when the player stepped on?
Oh yeah, no, I do.
The guy stepped on the back of his foot, yeah.
And he came back in at kind of ahead of schedule. The first game back was the game away at Stamford Bridge, and he played the full 90 minutes. And apparently he's still got pain in his ankle as well. Which again, it's not an excuse, but I just think there's a lot of players running on empty. And again, Ødegaard, we have Nwaneri really was the only replacement for Ødegaard as well. And if he's injured, it's like, so Ødegaard can't get a rest. Gabriel Jesus, again, we have no one that we can bring in for Gabriel Jesus. How long is he going to survive playing 90 minutes every 3 days, given his injury record? Partey, the same. I'm amazed that Partey has not had an injury yet this season, but I expect one of those is around the corner for him. Like, yeah, it's just the squad's on empty. And so because of that, I just can't see us going every 3 days, putting in the performance
to catch Liverpool. Huh?
To catch Liverpool, yeah. Liverpool, I think, will drop points. But so far, we've seen it so far. Every time Liverpool drop points, we do as well. So, yeah, I don't
reinforcements. You need reinforcements. You need signings.
Yes, but I don't think we'll do that in January. Maybe now because of the Nwaneri injury as well, we'll sign an attacker on loan.
You have to be forced to go into the market. There's no reason we're going to be sitting here in June if Arsenal don't win the league and said, oh, you should have signed someone because Saka's out and Nwaneri's out. That shouldn't happen this season as well. It shouldn't. It shouldn't happen.
But I think it will.
Yeah, I know.
I think we might end up with like a Kingsley Coman on loan. I don't think we'll spend big money on a permanent signing in January.
I think Kingsley Coman is not that bad, to be honest.
No, he's fairly reliable.
He's
though.
Incredibly injury.
If he's injury prone, Arsenal should not go and sign him. Should find someone else.
Would you not have Gnabry back?
I'd take Sane, Gnabry, or Coman.
Martinelli?
Them, to be honest.
Gnabry, Martinelli, kind of similar now. Have you guys watched Gnabry play?
Recall Vieira from Porto or whatever.
Apparently, that's not good. I was certain.
Porto said no, apparently.
Squad, but Yeah,
Porto
apparently
said
that's not
no.
So
Porto told them we need the player. So they
which
can't
is fair
call him.
enough. And the thing is, if we recalled him and then we used him for 3 weeks whilst we needed his cover, and then he went back to like not being used, it would be bad management because we've sent him out on loan specifically to play.
And by the way, we have been
he's
here
playing.
before, Rory. He's not good enough.
Well,
He
there's that
didn't
too,
play
yeah.
well. Yeah, like
There is that
like
too.
Arsenal recalling that guy again and trying to rely on him to start on the right side
Yeah.
or something.
But
That's not good.
right now, if you're resting Erdegaard and Nwaneri's injured, like the midfield three is basically going to be 3 8/6s.
You can have Dumfries, right wing back.
Stop it.
We don't play a right wing back. No, I'll take. No, I don't know who I'll take, to be honest. Barella.
No, you take Thuram to play on the right side, to be honest, or a striker or something like this. The dumbest mistake Mo ever taken on a penalty? Maybe. I'm convinced, or I'm convinced. Maybe it's a dumb take. Maybe it is.
You know the best way I'd say about that penalty, final thing I'd say on it is, if it's at the other end and it's Van Hecker on Gabriel Jesus and Gabriel Jesus goes down like that and the penalty isn't given, because it wouldn't be, if Arsenal fans came out after the game asking for a penalty for that, screaming that that's a penalty, we would be laughed off the fucking internet. People would be mocking Gabriel Jesus. They'd be calling Arteta all sorts for trying to dive and cheat his way. They'd be laughing at Arsenal fans for suggesting that something that's never, ever been awarded as a penalty before would be awarded as a penalty. And that's the fact. And then we get gaslit into believing that that's actually a penalty. It's ridiculous.
All right.
That's all else I have to say on it.
Okay. Manchester City, 2 games winning streak. Fantastic streak from Man City. Haaland is firing. People are shivering. Everyone is scared of Man City now. And let me ask you something, guys. You think you're targeting 3rd or 4th, so that's all you can do? Can you go on a run? Can Pep Guardiola do what he did in the last seasons and go on a run the second half of the season?
What, and win like if we
Rory's
win?
already doing this.
If we win 18 games in a row, I think we finish on 88 points, which is like less than we got in the entirety of like last season and the season before that. So, and that's with 18 wins in a row, which would actually be 20 wins in a row, considering that we beat Leicester and West Ham. So that's the level of the run we're talking about to even have a hope. And obviously, it's not happening. So.
Hope of what? No, I don't think you have any hope of winning the league. By the way,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, of course there isn't. Yeah,
for me, there is zero hope.
We can finish top 4. That is the new reality that City are in. To be honest, there is a world where we can finish 4th. We are competing with Forest, Newcastle, those teams around that. Because I think Chelsea will finish 3rd. That's the reality for this season, I think, and you've just got to accept that. We need to.
Hold on. Why you're saying that? Chelsea are 2 points only ahead of you. Not guaranteed that Chelsea will finish 3rd.
It's not a guarantee.
Chelsea are having a blip.
Okay, fine. City can finish 3rd then. I'll go as far as that. We can finish 3rd. I just think we will be looking more likely 4th or even 5th is probably more likely than 3rd. That's the way I see it. We must sign a couple of players this Jan, and we must sign good players this Jan. I do not want to see like loans. I do not want to see short-term thinking. I want us to be signing players who are good enough, who can be good enough, next season or now. I want us to sign like at least one elite player, integrate them into the side now, and then kickstart it next season. That's what we must do. The win against West Ham was nice, and we did deserve to win that game. I didn't feel we deserved to beat Leicester. We did deserve to beat West Ham. The defensive issues are still there. That's not changed. That will never change without reinforcements. But it was nice that the entire front 5 played really well, to be honest. Savio, Bernardo, Foden, De Bruyne, Haaland, they all had really nice games. So that was good. Again, the defensive and midfield issues aren't going to change, but at least we attacked nice. Again, I know it's only West Ham, so don't get too excited, but City fans have sort of got to try to take anything we can right now, because after that terrible run, it's a thing. So yeah, we shall see. We're being linked with, I'm going to butcher his pronunciation, Kusanov, who is a Uzbekistani 21-year-old centre-back who plays for Lon. He's so not ready right now. He might be ready in a few years' time. That's an interesting signing. I wouldn't hate it. Wouldn't love it, but I wouldn't hate it. But yeah, we need to bring in a senior, good, elite midfielder ASAP. And if we don't, then I'll be very, very annoyed and frustrated.
Are you surprised by the lack of? I mean, there was that whole Marmouche thing that happened. That like,
Indeed,
he went from he's signing to he's
I
definitely.
went live and said that Marmouche signed for Man City.
Yeah, I was live at the same time. My chat was like, "Oh my god, Mo's saying it's going to happen." So Mo's a fraud. Like, obviously, that's not real.
It was not a fraud. I'm in Egypt.
There was like an Major Egyptian outlet that claimed
it's the second biggest newspaper, sports newspaper in Egypt. Yom 7, it's the seventh day.
Just because the Sun says that, you know.
No. But this is a very credible newspaper. It's an actual official newspaper. It's not like the Sun. It's an official newspaper in Egypt. They literally had a headline from close sources, and they are Egyptians. Omar Marmoush is Egyptian. Omar Marmoush signed the contract for Manchester City. And it's not only like a clickbait. They went on to explain that he signed a contract, they held talks, and he agreed to move. And Eintracht Frankfurt.
And you believed it.
And they already reported. They already reported the money even that City paid, which is 50 million euros.
And you believed it. Crazy.
My job is to report in the news. They're frauds. Yom 7, if anyone is hearing this. Frauds.
So we're not signing him. I don't necessarily care about the lack of links because in theory the City have put a stop to leaks, so that's the official reasoning. But yeah, if we do not,
can I ask you something? Would you take Douglas Luiz on loan?
No, I don't want any stinky loans. I can't remember the last time City loaned a player. Someone in the chat, tell me, when was the last time we loaned like a senior player? I feel like it was Pizarro in the 11-12 season. I cannot remember the last time we did that. Maybe I'm being stupid and maybe there's an obvious answer. The biggest clubs do not do football like that. Sign me an elite midfielder on a permanent now. Unless it's like a loan to buy, that's a different situation.
Arsenal did it with Sterling. You're calling Arsenal not a big club.
Well, it's a club that's got serious title ambition, clearly. That's what I mean. There is shades there.
You're calling Arsenal not an ambitious club.
No, I take that back. That was me.
I actually agree. I do actually agree with the fact that if we're Arsenal relying on senior loans, like loaning in players that are good enough to play for the team, because I just don't. You shouldn't be in a position where there's a player available to go out on loan that's good enough to play for you if you want to win the league.
Thank you.
Because if they're good enough to play for you, they'll be starting for their team.
Yeah, that's why I don't like loans. I don't like it on Football Manager. I don't like it in the real world. I don't want my loans.
So I agree with that. But I'm just surprised, given that everyone knew how desperately City needed signings. I'm almost surprised that there wasn't a January 1st. We've targeted this person. We've spoke to them because realistically, even though they're not meant to, teams do speak to players. And this is it day one. Because we're now, we're on the 6th of January. And nothing has really.
This is one of the calmest first weeks of January I've seen in my life. Actually,
the only like solid links that have, because like Romano tweets about it, was that Kusanov, but that's all clearly agent led because Lon wants to sell the player because they need the money. So that's the only concrete situation. But yeah, we play Brentford on the 14th, I think. I would be very, very disappointed if we've not signed a midfielder by the Brentford game because I wanted that player to start to be available for Brentford. This is what I'm expecting of City. I wanted to go first of Jan, bam, on the phone. I don't know how it works, but you know what I mean? That's the level of urgency I want to see. So the fact that that might not be happening that's upset me. As long as it happens at some point in Jan, I won't really care. But I would have liked us to have, be obvious which midfielder we are targeting. People will say, but the market's not really there. I don't care if it costs 120 million. Sign the player. We need that investment in the squad. So sign me Bruno Guimaraes, sign me Baleba, sign me Palacios. This is the ilk of player that I need. The City needs. Give him to me now in Jan.
Why would you go to City if Pep is leaving next season? Bruno Guimaraes, I say Baleba, yes.
Pep's not leaving next season. What?
Isn't he leaving next year? He has 1 year left after.
No, he's got 2 years.
Oh, 2027.
In addition to this season too. Also, Rodri came to City, thinking that this was Pep's last season anyway when he joined.
Okay. Sorry, I got it wrong.
Yeah. So
because I don't think Bruno Guimaraes would leave Newcastle now to go to City today in January. I don't think he would.
That's our name, though, isn't it? Again, I said, Baleba, Palacios. I want someone of that quality and ilk.
Yeah, I think those two are more.
And Bruno,
same as Arsenal with Isak. Not that we would have done it in January. I think because Newcastle have got themselves back into a Champions League contention.
Thank you so much.
they're not going to let anyone go unless
Thank
it's insane money.
And it'll
But
be
the,
in.
the player themselves would leave. Like Bruno would jump at going to Manchester City.
Yeah, but Newcastle go, well, just stay here and you can go in the summer. Like, we're not going to stop you leaving in the summer. City are still going to want you in the summer.
I think if Bruno was given the chance,
I was cooked by Philip after the Newcastle game the weekend when I said that Bruno would leave to go to Arsenal or Manchester City.
He would, but I think he would stay in January because I think Newcastle will just hold on to him. Same with Isak. I'm sure Isak would jump at the chance to move.
That's why I'm like, and look, if a bid of 120 million pounds is what it takes, then that is simply what it takes.
Yeah, but City just don't really do that, do they? City still stick roughly to the principle of
but that's wrong.
Paying what a player's worth.
And if we do
only Jack Grealish they paid.
Yeah, unless
Lopetegui is sacked, by the way.
Right, but we tried to get Rice for like 95 million quid. We tried to get Bellingham, so I'm not having it. That City don't do this. No, you need to sign the player. It's your fault that we need to pay a premium for not addressing it earlier.
I know that Nobbins have to go. Well, see you, Nobbins. Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.
Bye, Nobbins. Bring back Moyes.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you think it would be Moyes?
Can I say something, guys? I think Lopetegui is the worst coach I have seen in the Premier League for about 20 years.
Yep.
Say that again?
Biggest fraud going.
Like, I have not seen a coach that bad, bro. Defense, at least Moyes can coach a defensive team, bro. This guy cannot coach defensive nor offensive. Like, it's shit.
He'll never get a Premier League job again. No.
I think Graham Potter will probably end up there. I've got a feeling him or the ex-Dortmund manager.
Maybe.
I think one of them.
Probably, yeah. We need to speak a little bit about Chelsea. Before we go, that guy Hooper is saying if Saliba went down to ground like Pedro, did you think that it was be given as a penalty? Do you want an honest answer? No.
If Saliba
goes down and holds his head,
yeah.
Anthony
Taylor looks at it. He goes, "Oh my god, it's a clash of heads. Stop the game."
And he's going to stop the game, drop ball.
Yeah.
Yes. So to answer you honestly, no.
So that means by default, cheating is rewarded, and that is not a position that we should be in.
But they always say players need to go down to award penalties. It is what it is. Yeah. So because some people stay on their feet. But anyway, that's Chelsea now. Oh my God, the revisionism. Then you haven't said a lot on this show. The revisionism on Maresca is crazy. Yes, he has made mistakes in the last 4 games, but people are already saying he's not Chelsea standards. He's not this. He's not that. He has had a very good start of the season, and because he has dropped points in 4 games, a lot of people are saying he's not Chelsea level. Do you agree with that notion at all?
It's difficult to say, isn't it? I think we need a little bit more time. I think he, at the beginning, when we hired him, I would have agreed with that notion. I think I did quite vocally. I wasn't excited. Yeah, I wasn't excited by it. I think it was risky, but I think he's shown that in the first, 20 games of the season, at points, he's had this Chelsea team playing some really good football. And I think you have to remember there was a point where people were saying like Enzo's brought our Chelsea back and people getting really carried away with how good it could be. And points wise, we could have, in theory, gone the distance in the title race, but we haven't now because we've dropped a lot of points in the last month, which is honestly unacceptable in the manner that it's been done. I think he shares a bit of the blame, but I think at the same time, if anything, I'm starting to question the squad on whether or not some of the players are good enough. And I think Maresca at times hasn't managed his squad brilliantly as well, because he's now complaining about fatigue and his substitutions have been few, far between and limited in terms of how many minutes these subs have actually had and whether or not he trusts them. I'm not sure. I would think Maresca would want some reinforcements in January and some rejuggling of the squad, but I'm not entirely sure it will happen with incomings, maybe just outgoings.
I think now with Jackson, Rory, the purple patch is over. He hasn't scored for a while.
Yeah.
And Chelsea need striker, even before a centre back or something.
Possibly. Yeah. I think the more it goes on, the more I think Maresca just had his Postecoglou start to the season.
Do you reckon, Rory?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said that on Friday.
Is that TikTok Rory? Or that is...
No, honestly. No, it's actually something
Rational League
do you know
Rory.
Do you know what, right? At first, it's one of those, when you get an idea in your head and it's hard to shake it, and then everything you see like reaffirms what you thought. I had started to think it, and then the Palace game just like reinforced it even more. I might be wrong, because last year, at least at Leicester, like he had the wobble in the middle of the season, and then he pulled it back. But then we never saw him after that game for Leicester, after the end of that season for Leicester, right? So who knows how it would have gone in a second season. But I do think there is an element.
Can I ask you something? Do you think it's Maresca or the squad, though? Which one you think is now being found out? Is it the squad? Because remember, we all spoken about how deep this Chelsea squad is, how brilliant it is, one of the best squads out there. If we believe that, it's Maresca, as you say. But if we don't believe that the Chelsea squad is that good, it's not Maresca's fault.
Well, I think it's a bit of both. I think in the same way that when Spurs had the start to last season that they had when they were top, people would, all of their players were one of the top 2 in their position in the league. And then suddenly, a year down the line, none of those players are good. Like, I think there's a combination of the two. So I think Maresca was getting an awful lot out of some of those players at the start, and the way that they were setting up was utilizing them well. Now I think you do look at players like Jackson and you go, okay, getting into the top 4, Nicholas Jackson can probably do that for you. If you want to push on for a title or even a title race, Nicholas Jackson can't do that for you. And so they're probably in a position where, they probably need to bring in 3 or 4 higher level players.
Again?
Well, yeah, so that's the issue. But,
well, they haven't bought in that. They haven't bought in that level. So it's not, again, in the sense that they have to bring in more higher level players than they already have.
Yeah.
I think it's that they have to spend money again, which is is that what you're suggesting, Mo?
Yeah, again means you already had a summer, 2 summers, a January, where you're trying. And now even in that last summer, you kind of went for the 26 years old Adebayo pre-signing. We praised that signing. You went for Neto, who's an experienced player that is a Portuguese international. You get my point? You went and got Jadon Sancho, who's someone who had years in Borussia Dortmund, maybe not good years in Man United, but some miles under him. You know what I mean? You went for that ilk. You didn't go for the Guiwi and all these guys who are on the side. But the starting 11 for Chelsea now, all of them have miles. Colwell has had 4 seasons in the Premier League or 3 seasons in the Premier League. This is the 3rd season.
Yeah.
Kokoria is a Euro winner. You know what I mean? Sanchez is an experienced player. The only one is Malo Gusto on that right side. He's young, but that's his 2nd year. So I don't think Chelsea can use the experience as an excuse at the current moment. Nicholas Jackson's his 2nd year, right? So Enzo Fernandez, World Cup winners, 3rd year in the top or 4th year in the top division. You cannot have that experience excuse anymore. It's already done. You already have been playing for a bit, right? Well, we're not going to just keep calling these guys young team forever.
I think the worry is that relative to, for example, a Klopp when he took over Liverpool or an Arteta when he took over Arsenal, I think there was an expectation that Maresca was meant to have a higher, like the squad that Maresca took over was meant to be a much higher level than the ones that Klopp and Arteta took over. That there's not meant to be much of a rebuild, but that he should build on what Pochettino had done. And then, but then if you are talking about 3, 4, 5 first team players that need to come in, then that kind of is another rebuild. And
5 players is a rebuild. I agree with you.
And I don't know if Chelsea can do that just based off the figures that they had spent on certain players that you'd be talking about not being part of the rebuild. So who knows what's going to happen with Fofana, but he's contracted until 2029 on 200 grand a week.
Wesley Fofana?
He's contracted.
It's a long contract.
Because he was in that early stage where they were giving crazy contracts and big wages. So Fofana's on 200 grand a week on a 7-year deal that takes it to 2029. Yeah. Mudryk obviously is another one. These are the sorts of players where they've spent the money that should be a long-term player in your squad, starting 11, that you're not going to need to replace. And they've got a few too many of them, I feel like, that they will need to replace that are going to be difficult to financially. And we'll see, because Chelsea always seem to find a way of spending the money. But yeah, it's an interesting one.
Do you think anyone here think that Chelsea are at risk to not make top 4 at all?
Well, yeah, if the same. I think if the same mistakes keep being made, then potentially, because I think that for me is the biggest reason why I think people are starting to turn on Maresca, because in one game, you try and experiment. It doesn't work. You go back. You do something different. You learn from your mistakes. I think we saw him at the beginning of the season make some mistakes, learn from it, move on from that. Results prove that we are moving in the right direction. For some reason, he's gone back to try things that didn't work, that he obviously believes will eventually work at this point in the season. And we've had an awful December start to Jan. And I think if you continue in this vein of form, then with the likes of City and Newcastle literally closing the gap on us into the top 4, then yeah, I think we will be at risk of missing out potentially. We're not invincible, and this young group of players, we've seen it before. If they get into a rut, they can find it difficult to get out. And we've got an inexperienced manager at the end of the day. It's not exactly the type of manager that I would want to be dealing with a rut, even though he's got his Leicester side out of it before. But you can't do that in the Prem and expect to get top 4.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how because there is going to be a pressure now that, like, okay, Chelsea fans mocked the idea that they were in a title race, but there was certainly a period where Chelsea were more focused on potentially getting themselves into a title race rather than looking over their shoulders to the back 4, to the top 4. Like, it felt like, yeah, Chelsea are definitely going to get top 4.
Yeah, me too. Same here.
Yeah, of course.
Could they possibly push on for the title
second
race?
Place or just go in a race?
Yeah. So then there's definitely an expectation from the point that you were at that you're going to get top 4. So if suddenly that comes into doubt and you are under pressure to start getting in results, it'll be interesting to see how the players respond to that. And I think the next 2 games, you've got Bournemouth at home, Wolves at home. If those results you don't pick up wins in, I think that, the home crowd's been fully behind the squad under Maresca, but I think it could start to slightly turn again. And then you've got City away. And City away could be a massive game for the top 4 race if you've not won the previous 2.
Yeah, that could be the game that City end up going above Chelsea, couldn't it, by that point?
I think if the last 4 games you'd been up against, Liverpool and Arsenal and City, and, you'd had tough fixtures, I think people were being like, well, it was a rough patch, but to be expected. I think because it was against Everton, Fulham, Ipswich and Palace, where realistically, from the point that you were at going into those 4 games, you'd probably have suspected 9 or 10 points. Ideally 12.
It was only
9 or 10.
It was only before the gap between the last 2 international breaks. That one we drew with. Well, we beat Newcastle, drew with Arsenal, drew with United, lost to Liverpool. Even then, that patch of form is not great for a team that are looking at challenging. I think that's why we had doubt. But then we returned after the international break playing some really good football. And then all of a sudden, that's just kind of...
I'm looking at Newcastle, guys, to be honest. I'm looking at Newcastle. Newcastle have experience, have way more experience than Chelsea in terms of top 4. They already did it. They held into their 4th place 2 years ago, and they made it. And they have a more experienced manager and a more experienced squad. And
who did Newcastle play up? Spurs. I looked at Newcastle's starting 11. I looked at that and thought, that might be better than Chelsea's starting 11. And
if you remove Dan Burn and put Fabian Schär in there with Botman,
and Dubravka was a bit of a question mark for me, but
Dubravka's just not good.
I think pretty much when I looked at their midfield, I don't think they've got a Casado, but I think they've got Bruno, who's obviously pretty close to that, if not level.
Tonali is playing up to an unbelievable level.
In that 6th, playing really well. I think Joelinton is a fantastic,
one of my favorite players in the league, to be honest.
He's the type of player you just don't want to play against. We don't have a striker as good as Isak. Jackson was putting up good numbers, but I just don't think he's
by the way, you don't have a winger like Anthony Gordon.
No, we don't.
Goals, right? You don't.
But we have a Cole Palmer, which I didn't think Newcastle had. But
of course, their X factor is Isak. Your X factor is Palmer. The problem is your manager is not making Palmer an X factor.
No, this is right. So I've been saying this for a while, and I think it's so important that you do that and you build this team around someone with the talent of Cole Palmer. And I just think Maresca consistently, if you look at that second half against Palace, Cole Palmer's on the wrong side of the pitch for me.
Yes.
He really is. And I've been saying this, people keep saying, no, he's fine there, he's fine. And he's getting goals. I think if you look at the way Chelsea are playing, Cole Palmer is being limited by playing off towards the left-hand side of that 10 pocket.
It is weird. Like,
it's really strange.
Liverpool, okay, they've got a lot of quality all around, but Liverpool play through Salah significantly more than the other side of the pitch. Arsenal's setup is to feed everything through Saka when he's there. City completely changed the way they play to use Erling Haaland to the best of his ability. It is unusual that you'd have a player of Cole Palmer's level, especially when other players in the squad just aren't of that world-class caliber, that you wouldn't, just try and maximize.
And you wouldn't go through it. We don't want to be that word. We don't want to be Palmer FC. I think people understand this wrong. You want to be that guy. You want to be Salah FC. You want to be Saka FC. You want to build everything to go through Palmer because he's the exception. He's the X factor. Like Isak, for example. Everybody for Newcastle, when they see Isak open, just hit the ball. You work.
But then Newcastle are fantastic with getting goals from everywhere else on their team. And I think that's what Poch said at that time, was he didn't want it to be Cole Palmer FC. And then Maresca's obviously gone on from that as well. And I think for a while, Maresca was getting other players to chip in with goals. But I just think we're starting to see maybe it was more a honeymoon period under a new manager. If he doesn't learn from these mistakes,
think
like
so.
Rory said, there's some big tests coming up.
I don't think it was a honeymoon phase. I think the players are not firing. Like, he didn't expect Jackson, to be honest, to miss every game at glorious chance.
Even if the players aren't firing, he is also making mistakes in the last.
He is.
As well.
I just think that midfield
substitutions. I'm not saying our subs bench is unbelievable, but for some reason he absolutely does not trust the subs bench now, and it's that is concerning for me and it should be concerning mainly for the sporting directors, because they've spent an awful lot of money putting this squad together, and all of a sudden this manager's come in who they believe was the right guy, and he now doesn't trust his squad. Poch didn't trust his squad. What are we doing here? Like, all of a sudden, for me, really and honestly, if Maresca doesn't work out at Chelsea, I absolutely think the pressure has to be on the sporting directors and no one else, because they went with this decision to choose him as a manager. They've gone through 4 or 5 managers. They've spent over £1 billion on talent. Surely that's where you have to start looking if this doesn't work out. But I'm just hoping Maresca can get us back playing the way we were, and I think we'll be okay.
You can't help it if the striker doesn't score goals, bro. He's missing one.
Don't get me wrong. I think Chelsea need to strengthen in this window. We absolutely have to get a centre back. I'm not sure that Mark Gehi and Chalobah are good enough, but I'd rather have the number than no one. And I honestly think we may see Nkunku leave. I've just got a feeling about that. If the money's right and a team is willing to pay it, I've got
Arsenal is there. Arsenal need a striker.
You know what? If I was another Premier League team, I'd test the water, because I actually think if you're willing to play a system that he could fit into, you'd thrive with Nkunku. I think he's a really good player.
He's a very good player, to be honest.
I'd rather Chelsea move him on. I'll be gutted it doesn't work out, but then Maresca can bring in a profile that he believes will fix his system.
If Arsenal were going to go and sign anyone from Chelsea this window, I'd want it to be Carney Chukwuemeka.
Yeah, I saw you say that actually, Rory, on Twitter.
Really?
Yep.
He's a good player.
I like the player a lot, but he hasn't played.
The injury issues are a slight concern, but I don't even think they're as bad as have been made out.
What would you play with Chukwuemeka?
So the issue is right now he's not really the sort of player that we actually need. Like, he would definitely be a useful tool, and he would alleviate some of the pressure we've got on our midfield, but would not be a priority. If we're going to spend money, it has to.
What would you play him again? I'm sorry.
What, Chukwuemeka?
Yeah,
probably is the left out.
You have Moreno, who's been performing well.
Moreno's all right, but I feel like Chukwuemeka offers something more exciting.
You're not bought. I thought you like Moreno. I like Moreno a lot.
No, I do. I think Moreno's overhated. It's just
he was one of your best players against Brighton.
Yeah, no, he was, and against.
Do you think Moreno could play Jorginho's role, phase out Jorginho, and then?
Well, this is the thing.
Jorginho's dead. Seriously dead.
Yeah, but realistically, Partey and Jorginho both probably leave the club in the summer. So we are in a position where, like it or not, we have to go for midfielders. So if one's available now in Chukwuemeka, and you could potentially get him cheap, why not?
I don't know what happened to Chukwuemeka. I thought he was brilliant in the beginning against.
I think he was signed. He was one of those players. One, that's injuries. Two, he was signed by a previous sporting director on a lot of money. He's of that. Basically, it's turning out that I think it was Christophe Vevelle had a big impact on a lot of players that have really not worked out at Chelsea, and they've been put on big money. And the new sporting directors are sort of trying to undo that at the same time of moving in a different direction as well. So they're just trying to out those players. And Kunku's one of them. Mudryk is one of them. Shikani is one of them. Wesley Fofana is one of them. Ben Chilwell's contract, I think, was under that sporting director. The same with Reece James. That's not how they want to run the club now.
Yeah. We'll see what happens to Chelsea, to be honest. We'll see what happens to Chelsea. Listen, people, I want to thank everyone that joined us. Rory's channel is in the description. Videos, shorts, brilliant. Breaking down of the games, brilliant opinions, of course. Rory's channel is in the description. So go and subscribe to Rory. He's on the way to 20K. That is his target for this season. So go and go support Rory. Dan channel in the description. Of course, go support Dan as well. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant content as well. Dan is always on Dan Potts' channel, on Lee Judge's channel, always on other channels as well. Rory is here and on Dan Potts' channel, normally. Tom Little, of course, with the rants. Nobbins, of course, as always. Nobbins, great shows with Nobbins. I want to thank everyone that joined us. Hit that like button, guys. We're that close to 300 likes. And this will take you to Hussam. When I don't know what he's going to say. He's going to rant about Liverpool, something like this. He's going to talk about the title race. He's going to tell us that they are third favorites or fourth favorite behind City. I will see you guys soon. And we're out of here, people.